Okay.
Going with that a lot.
Cameras ready.
Oh.
6:30, calling the meeting to order. Stand for the pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call. Mayor Cooper called me a few hours ago and said that she was ill and wasn't gonna be able to make it, so going in on her place. Mr. Pritchard, are you here?
I am here. Yes, thank you for asking.
Ms. Ray Abbott,
Present.
Mr. Spears,
Present.
Mr. Wilbur,
Present.
Mr. Wilson,
Present.
Mr. Harple.
Here.
And Councilman Kennedy's here too. So, all right,
Excellent.
everybody's here. There's one agenda, change, back under Sunny's report. Sunny is not here. Sunny got called up with the National Guard, so Scott got drafted as the temporary city manager. And since Sonny was going to give that report and he's not here, I'd move to have that stricken from tonight's agenda.
So second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Any other changes to the agenda? Hearing none, okay. Any interested citizens? I don't know, was there
No.
anybody online? Audience? No, okay. Didn't approve, no interested.
I'll move to approve the agenda. Thank you.
Oh.
In its entirety.
In its entirety, with you.
With the changes.
I'll second that.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
I just skipped over that just in case
You're good.
anybody paid attention.
Good job.
No announcements, proclamations, special presentations. So committee reports. Chad, do you want to start? Do you want to, or you want to finish?
Oh, no, I can start. That'd be great. Yeah, so I just wanted to, it's been coming out more and more since this PFAS, the results of the PFAS study that we did with Eastern. And so I just want to make everybody aware here that there is a one-pager no-name bitch filtration system request that we've been talking quite a bit to federal and state representatives to try and get that. So you can see in the upper part of this this diagram, there's Australia essentially, and that's kind of the West Plains. It's got Spokane River and then Deep Creek. Oh, there we go. Yeah, it's kind of a small one here, but if you go to EW PFAS, you can find all sorts of maps online. But that's the results of this PFAS that we found. So that's it's a firefighting foam solution they use the Air Force at the Fairchild and at SIA. It's really good at putting out fires. It's really waterproof. It's an amazing substance, but it happens to be bad for you when you ingest it, especially through water. And so there is a regulatory limit for drinking water because we're always drinking water, right? At least you should be. Even if you're drinking tea, you're still drinking water. So it's bad for you. So we went out for 2 years and this grant came through this City Medical Lake. Thank you, Cost, for your patience and working with us because it had to come through a legislative body or it had to come through a municipal body. So that map kind of shows you where you can find some higher levels of PFAS, definitely much higher than the standards. But the biggest zone that we found was called No Name Ditch. And so if you've ever been on Craig Road going to Airway Heights, I would assume everybody in this room has done that before, where that Craig Road has the jog in it. And there's an entrance to the base if you take a left, but it's not used very often. And you take a left right there, you'll see a big line of trees. This is called No Name Ditch. And it's where everything from the base, for the most part, goes into a stormwater facility and it comes through a gate. And the drinking water standard for PFAS is 4 parts per trillion, which is like 4 little drops from a droplet in a medical lake. For the most part, if you think about how much that is, super small amount. Coming off of Fairchild right there is 20,000 parts per trillion. And it's been running more or less freely since we've known about it since 2017. Before that, it was TCE, trichloroethylene, which is a degreaser, benzene, galore. You see they knocked all those houses down. The signs were pretty voluminous in words. and they were not positive words, because all those buildings had deeds to allow no man ditch to drain through. So yeah. So I'm just trying to get the base. I work on the RAB with Sunny, the Restoration Advisory Board for Fairchild. And we have great relationships with Fairchild. They're wonderful people, but they just don't have the financial support right now to put in a filtration system. But it's the main source of PFAS in the West Plains. That's what we found. 20,000 parts per trillion is by far the highest values that we saw. So this is going to be, it's in the paper here and there. Lots of bloggers right now are doing it. I was just on the radio for it. So I just wanted everybody in the council to know about that. And so this is what, and later on, unfortunately, we're going to try to extend this grant because it's still being reviewed. I submitted it like a year ago, but we're getting there. It takes time. And they do a lot of really high detail, review of the report and those data because it's pretty important. This is used to sue people. Yeah. And hopefully get a filter system on this no name ditch so it's not pouring into the aquifer. What happens, and you can see in the upper right hand corner there, from that ditch, it kind of goes into the ground and then it follows the groundwater pretty much all the way to 7 miles. And you can more or less find like that darker red color the entire way. That's pretty substantial source from our study. So I just wanted to let everybody be aware of that. Look out there. And if you have any questions, feel free to email me. I'm super happy to chat about. I'm not happy. Yeah, I mean, so many. Yeah, we see a lot of houses that are in the fire area right now. It's so sad just to know all those people. It's just incredibly sad as well. On top of PFAS. My goodness. So I think I had other things to report, but that's a lot of words from me that you just all heard. So I think I'm just going to say Steve Cooper and I are going to run a hike on the 11th. And we'll sample water in Medical Lake and talk about some of that stormwater stuff that you guys are seeing around. And you can always talk to Scott about that too, for those swales that they're going to put in. Yeah, that's it for me. Thank you.
Thank you. Lauren, you did anything?
No, thank you.
Lance?
Just want to remind everybody, you have about an hour and 23 minutes left to turn your ballot in. If you would like to turn your ballot in and vote today. We'll pick them up until 8 o'clock in ballot drop boxes.
Keith?
Already voted, so I'm good there. Thank you, appreciate that. Nothing else to report.
Okay, yeah.
Everybody said everything. That's all we need to say. Thank you. No report, Your Honor.
Okay. Tony?
No report.
I guess my only report would be Finance Committee met today and found no issues. Okay, thank you. As Mayor Pro Tem, I have no report. Carrie's not online, so Scott, do you have anything you want to say?
I don't at this time.
Okay, costs. We're down to budget.
Good evening, Mayor and Council, Mayor Pro Tem. So in an effort to reduce the amount of time I'm up here talking, I did add a memo to the front of the quarterly budget report to make it more user friendly and reduce this down to more or less asking questions and answering them than trying to dissect data in real time. So I'll just open it up to any questions about the highlights with the areas being monitored or any of the other data that is in the report.
Broadband, number 410, 622%.
Yes, sorry, is this for
Revenue.
revenue? So essentially, there was no anticipated revenues. So when we made more interest revenues than we anticipated, it shot the number up quite a bit. But really, that's just that I only anticipated 500 as a low number, thinking that most of the money would be spent, meaning it wouldn't really accrue any interest. And we haven't spent the money yet, so.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Any other questions for costs about the budget?
Or just what's up with the library insurance? I mean, why?
Yeah, that one's kind of obnoxious. So it's a fund that only has one singular expenditure in it, and that is the insurance. So we get an estimate when we budget, and that's what we base these costs off of. So it was, I think, $100 or so higher than what I had budgeted for it, meaning it will require a budget amendment, but it's,
Oh,
yeah, it's $100.
so their insurance went up.
Yeah, so we pay insurance on the building, because we own the building and we lease it to the county, right, the library district, but so we have to pay the insurance on it. It's the only expenditure that we pay for that unless there's a capital expenditure, and so budgeting, I really should overshoot on budgeting for that line item, because this lesson needs to be learned, but it's one of those things where it's just housekeeping. But yeah,
Is that just a one-time annual?
yeah.
Oh,
It's our property insurance, so we get a very large bill in January and it pays for the whole year.
Okay.
Both through WCIA.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you have to do a budget amendment even for like 1% over?
Yeah.
Going,
Any dollar amount above what's appropriated, yeah, but it's I'm gonna capture it when I do bring forward a budget amendment to capture anything that has been not according to plan, that will be included, and it's a really quick, easy, tidy, but yeah.
yeah, instead if I was within 2% of my budget estimate, that'd be pretty happy.
Yeah, oh yeah, it was close, yeah, I really should just overshoot that item considering it's the only one, but anyway.
Rest of my,
It's painful, but yeah.
Okay. Any other questions on budget? Thank you. Then moving on to the grant application report.
Okay. So this one is pretty straightforward. Just let's see, so the two applications that I mentioned at the last update that were submitted, this is the formal documentation that the two RCO grants were applied for in July. And then additionally, the grant writer brought forward two opportunities that sounded nice, but weren't a great fit. And we were, some of the eligibility criteria, once we dove into it, didn't really fit the city. I don't recall exactly what those two opportunities were, but anyway, just grant writer doing their work. Questions?
Any other questions for grant applications?
Yeah, okay.
Hearing none, thank you very much.
Thank you.
The periodic update. Well, the MLMC amendments subdivision language. What is it?
Good evening. Pardon? Oh, thank you. Yeah, Sonny was nice enough to cover for me, and it made him the person of the night, apparently, like he had to speak for every subject on my agenda.
He was kind of tired of it, buddy.
Page 11 is the beginning of this section with subdivisions. Tonight is a workshop. And this is the fourth step of a 6-step process. This is the intro to the language, so you can give me feedback before I return with a draft ordinance for you to consider at the next meeting. Planning Commission held a public hearing regarding the proposed language for Title 19 on June 25th and is recommending approval. You will find proposed language starting on page 13 of the packet. And I made the distinction about Title 19 because starting on page 21, we have 2 pages for Title 11, Streets and Sidewalks. And the Planning Commission doesn't have purview over Title 11, so they didn't review and approve that language, but it will be part of your approval process. So they haven't looked it up either. This amendment package is removing land division chapters out of Title 15. So as you may remember, in addition to trying to improve our code and meet all the state requirements, I am trying to eliminate several titles and putting them all into Title 19. So Title 15 is our subdivisions chapter that we are quickly whittling away. So there's quite a few things happening with this. And I have the key points. I have the deletion. So first 3 are proposed chapters to be deleted. General provisions just gets absorbed into other places. Ordinance 1144 that you adopted back in April has a new variance process that can be used in subdivisions also, so we don't need to have a separate subdivision variance process. And then finally, the residence divisions chapter that is proposed to be deleted, that's the one that's the odd one that you divided duplex and make it two row houses, but that doesn't work well because those are constructed differently, so not a good chapter, gonna get rid of that. You can still have attached houses, it starts that way, you don't try to divide it after they exist. For the additions, we have chapter regarding lot line adjustments. So I do lot line adjustments somewhat regularly in the city, a few a year. We don't have anything in our municipal code right now. The state says we can do it, just use best practices for that. So in this language formalizes that process, basically what I've been doing this far. Then starting with the replacements, definitions, they're not listed in here, but the ones necessary will be moved to Title 19, already has a definition section, so we want to keep that all together in Title 19. And then the main portion of this is a new land division section for Title 19. So we have Title 19 is formed in sections, so like administration, land use reviews, subdivisions, zoning districts, standards, et cetera. Like, so these larger categories. So we're putting in a land division category. And this proposal includes a chapter for subdivisions, and that covers both short and long subdivisions. And this starts with an overview for the process because land divisions go through a multi-step process. You have your preliminary plat, you either do infrastructure development or financial surety to make sure that happens, final plat review, and finally get recorded with the county. So I want to state that up front, like, what is it that this all entails for those people who are not completely familiar with the process? So as a reminder, short subdivisions are 4 lots or less, and then subdivision or long subdivision, depending how you want to call it, those are 5 lots or more. And the only real difference between those two between the two processes is that the smaller subdivision, the short plat, generally is less complex because it's only 4 properties. At maximum 4, there's usually less infrastructure needed, and therefore it continues to be a type 2 process. So there's a notice, but not a hearing. So it's processed in-house. Whereas a regular subdivision, a long subdivision, that one is still the longer process, goes to our planning commission for a hearing and recommendation, and then comes to you for final approval. And I did want to remind you that we mandated by state, but good practice is when people have multiple applications for the same site at the same time, they all run together. So for instance, if we had a short plat, a short subdivision, but it had a critical area on there, then that automatically bumps it up to a type 3 process, and you're going to see that. So when you have multiple applications at the same time, multiple reviews, I should say, it always bumps up to the highest type of review. So anything complicated, it ends up back there again. The chapter includes approval criteria and approval standards. And those standards are mostly citations. And the reason I did it that way is so we can create those sections of the code and make citations instead of repeating that information over and over throughout the code. For instance, binding site plans refers to many of the standards. Once again, binding site plans are for commercial properties, and they function much like building permits. So once again, it's type 2, there's a notice, no hearing, and it's reviewed in-house by all departments. There's the proposed chapter development standards. These were pulled from Title 15. We have no significant changes between the titles, just making it, trying to make it more clear. And then for the chapter on infrastructure improvements, it explains the process for constructing improvements, financially guaranteeing the work. And this is the one piece that our planning commission asked for a change in. So currently our code says a performance bond needs to be 110%. but we have some folks in the planning commission that have financial backgrounds or construction backgrounds, and they all agreed that changing that to 150% is more appropriate to protect the interests of the city. So that you will see the 150% in that chapter. And finally, for Title 19, we have the final plats chapter, which complements the final plat process that's already in Title 19. Then moving on to Title 11, we had some standards in Title 15 that really should have been in Title 11 because they apply to all streets, not just the ones that are being created by subdivisions. Or other items were very specific or not necessary to be in the municipal code. Like we have a very large table about testing filter fabric. I don't even know what that means, but it has been determined that that does not need to be in our code. Meanwhile, the 2 pages for the proposed Title 11 chapter, Scott Duncan, our Public Works Director, can explain more about how he uses standards and how they get applied to public improvements in the city. But generally speaking, we depend on standards for other jurisdictions, namely the county has a wonderful booklet of standards. And this chapter really formalizes that. It also complements Chapter 11.08 that right-of-way permits that City Council adopted in 2024. So that really spelled out a lot of information, and the proposed chapter just really talks about streets more generally and how we get to those standards. And we're hoping as time goes on that we will create standards that are more specific to Medical Lake, and the chapter reads that way. So it says we're using Spokane County standards. But if the city has any standard for that particular subject, the city supersedes the county. So we will hopefully see changes over time, but it covers that. And I think that covers everything to do with subdivisions for tonight. Did I talk fast enough? Do you have any questions, concerns? Next time I'll be returning with an ordinance. So
Is there anything left in chapter 15?
I think it is empty after the transportation ordinance that you passed previously, which got rid of a couple chapters like planning and developments and private streets. I think this finishes up.
Sure, this is gonna be in the code or not, but in other places, folks have taken their larger lots and subdivided with just a short plat here and waited, and then another short plat, another short plat. So they've built their old property, but they've done it in a way that they didn't have to do a master plan. It ended up costing the county tens of millions of dollars of stormwater. And is there a way that we can make sure that doesn't?
Yes, and that's a good point that I thought I had incorporated that. Now that you mentioned it, I think I did not, and we can just have a statement that says you cannot redivide within X amount of years. So some cities say you can't redivide a short plat within 5 years.
Can we push it further?
We can. What do you think?
20 maybe.
I mean, that was a mess, but people bought houses there. They bought, a house and one short plat, and there was they flooded, they had to kayak around. Yeah.
I had a question. Regarding the 150% maintenance bond, how did they arrive at that? Other than, did they strictly use their experience, or is that like an industry?
Yeah, so on our planning commission, we have one gal that's retired from banking and did this exact type of work, and 150% was what her bank would require. And most of the time it covers it. Another used to be the CEO for a large public entity, and it was familiar with these type of guarantees, and it was also 150%. So they were using their backgrounds to specifically suggest the 150%.
Any other questions? You ready?
I have maybe. Just building on Councilmember Pritchard's question about the subdividing the small plats. Cause would that cover it? So if, say they did 3 houses and then the rest of the lot, right, as their 4. And then if they sold that larger chunk to a different entity, say themselves with an E added on the end or something stupid, right? Would that deed, would it be like a deed based restriction?
Yeah,
Okay.
so it gets recorded against the property.
Okay,
Somewhat like a deed.
okay. So,
So any future buyer would know.
yeah, I just don't wanna necessarily knock somebody out for 20 years to be able to buy the property and like use it, right? But
I don't think she'll follow my advice of 20 years.
Yeah.
no, I know, I'm just trying to get feedback. I mean, like even at, I guess 5 years isn't too long. I guess that's long enough to wait. Like if you're gonna buy a piece of property.
What, no, it's pretty serious. So I mean, if you say you're doing a small lot and then you can.
Oh, I see how you
There's
could-
no houses.
Oh, I see how
trails.
you could totally abuse the system.
Yeah.
I
It
agree.
was, it has.
I agree. I would rather. Instead of just putting in a time delay, is there any way that we could say, so if this was part of a small plat and they want to plat it again, then it has to be registered as a long plat? Is there, some way that we can say, okay, since this was part of a small plat within the last 5 years, if they do want to subdivide it, then they have to divide it, but regardless of the amount of parcels that you're dividing it into, you have to treat it as a long plat. Because then they would have to look at all of that infrastructure. So it would give somebody the opportunity to do it the correct way if they wanted to.
Yeah, I'm not 100% sure we can do that, so I'll have to look into it, but I see what you're saying.
Yeah,
So one thing, if you're not remembering, is a land use review, including the land division, is good for 5 years. So the decision expires in 5 years is one of the reasons 5 years is suggested,
Oh.
but not necessary. I mean, I'm just saying like that's where 5 years comes from. But they have 5 years basically to come back with a final plat. But it could be longer, 20 years, maybe not 20 years, but somewhere in there. I'll do some research and see, what would be most appropriate for preventing that, because the other thing is, what is it we're trying to protect? It's our connectivity, right, with our streets and our trails. So can we approach that from another direction to ensure that we get that through short funds? So that's another thing I'll know.
yeah, cool.
That's what I was gonna bring up, is that 5 year, I think that initial 5 year kind of covers that. I think once they fall out of that 5 years, and they're reapplying to try to do another subdivision, is there a way to add where, any properties connected to said subplat, owned by the developer, is put into consideration for possibility of a long division? Instead of, they keep.
You're saying if they happen to own the one next door, that we have to look at it as all one site?
Exactly, it's all one site, one long division. So the reconsideration of properties owned by said developer or landowner, regardless of the LC, as
Yeah,
Councilman Spears are saying, they put an E on the end. Well, it's still owned by the same group, same person. So now we have to take full consideration of the use of this property by this individual, regardless of how it's been broken up. But after that 5 years, they've got to resubmit anyway. So then that's when we can take a look and go, okay, now we need to look at the whole picture here. What's actually going on through the long term from then to now? Does this have to be considered now a long subdivision? That was just developed over time instead of anything nefarious, just it's developed over time. So now meets the criteria of a long subdivision.
okay, I'll look into,
So-
I'm not exactly sure how that
Try to
would be
keep things
approached.
above board and, not raise any hackles about improprieties. It's just, they may not have had the funds to make a long division at the time.
Mhm.
But now that they do, now it's considered a long division for our municipal codes.
I wanted to ask Mr. Pritchard if there was anything else that you're worried about protecting other than connectivity of streets and trails when you're thinking about those sites in the county?
Oh, all the infrastructure, yes, so stormwater is going to be a big one for us now.
And then you said parks too, right?
And parks, yeah, I mean, kind of the county's new master plan, I know is trying to have trails, parks all put into the subdivisions. Whereas a short plat wouldn't have to do with it. So I actually really like your idea of having some portion of even a short plat requiring connectivity.
Connectivity, especially for fire hydrants. With the climate that we have now, literal and figurative.
Excellent. Anything else?
Hearing none. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
And next we have the minutes from the last meeting. Any changes or corrections? Not entertain a motion to approve, move to approve,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Unanimously, okay. So now we have to approve claim warrants number 53947 through 53984 in the amount of $105,210.88. And entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes and bills paid. Okay. Now, public hearing in regards to the comprehensive plan. So at 7:01, I open the public hearing. And Elisa will.
Thank you. Let's see, page 32. You have a reading sheet that is, I'm requesting a continuation of this hearing. The reason is that we are still receiving comments from the agencies. So we continued the hearing at the planning commission, and that will be continued until this month's planning commission, August 27th. Therefore, I'm asking you to continue until September 1st, so we can incorporate any comments we've received from various agencies. Most important, Department of Commerce, who oversees this process. They sent partial comments and not complete comments. So I'm waiting to see what those say. The other thing is, if we happen to have anybody in attendance today that wanted to speak, because we did advertise this as a public hearing, normally we would just say, please come back next time, but you can choose to offer to let people speak if they would like to speak, since we do advertise them as such.
Right, so I'll entertain a motion, or do I ask for comments first?
I would say ask for comments if you want.
Okay. Any public comments in the audience or online that wish to speak to the adopting the comprehensive plan? First call for comments. Second call for comments. Third call for comments. So now I would entertain a motion to continue this public hearing until September 1st. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So this meeting is now continued until September 1st. Okay, so executive session, none. Resolutions, tree line contract. Scott, you have somebody?
6/8/20 costs.
Again, Mayor and Council. Welcome. Okay, so what we have here is a nearly completed dock. Some of you may have seen, the work is estimated to be completed by Friday, with a minor setback, including the smoke. They don't want to expose their guys too much, but they are nearing the finish line. So essentially, what this is a culmination of the changes that were made post solicitation and bid and receiving the quote. And so it included, Sunny summarized these in the briefing sheet, but ADA accessibility requirements that were not foreseen when it was first bid. And there was also the revisions that were made from the T shape to the L shape, and expanded some of the size of the dock. They had to make some adjustments. And then also the requirement came up later that they needed to use a different type of installation for the pilings. So instead of the hammer drive, I think it's called, they had to do vibration, which is a more costly endeavor. So the end result being $17,000. I did note that and I don't know that, I don't see it in the briefing sheet, but this approval of this change order would require a budget amendment. So there are plenty of funds in the capital improvement fund. But this project in particular and the budget appropriations were short by, well, we had 50,000 approved. That left a few hundred after the completion of the project. So with the 17,000 additional, it's about 16,900 and change that would require a budget amendment. So I just wanted to bring that to your attention before approval, so you understand that this would be directing me to bring forward a budget amendment to include these expenditures.
Budget amendments ready to come at some future meeting altogether?
Yes, so my goal with the budget amendments is there are a few items that I'm aware of, including the library that we talked about. So I would like to bring forward a budget amendment ordinance within the next few meetings for your review. This would be one of them.
Any questions?
I have a question.
Yeah.
So when the dock was originally, I guess, drafted or engineered or
Yeah.
drawn, so that did they not account for the ADA? The only real questions I have, not even problem, the questions I have is the ADA adder. So is that just something that was missed in the original dock design, or?
I'm trying to recall the reason why that was brought up. Elisa, were you aware? There was the guardrails. When, yeah, do you mind helping out? Sorry. When that was brought up, when did that happen?
I think it has to do with the new height. The pier was installed higher
Oh, right.
than originally intended. Which also changed the length of the ramp needed for the floating dock.
Right.
So I think those were the changes that took place. Scott, do you know otherwise?
No, that's,
Okay,
I think that's correct.
that's correct. Okay.
Just
So it wasn't an oversight, it was just an adjustment.
change in design.
I don't believe it was an oversight of the original bid. I think there were some changes that triggered certain ADA compliance.
Cool. So why is it higher than?
It's higher because after they installed the boulders along the shoreline, it needed to be higher to accommodate the boulders that are now higher than they used to be.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it would have been like going over the boulders to get down to the dock.
Is that why they changed it to an L shape as opposed to a T shape or a V shape? I think that was also some, and I think that wasn't that also to address ADA. So essentially the narrow design did not allow for very much of, it was ADA compliant, but it wasn't very ADA friendly. And so I think it allowed for more space to navigate the dock. And then we might have a problem with the camera. Oh.
Lost video.
How about audio?
Well, let's see, Lonnie, pretty good.
What does that happen? Yeah, so she can
Here,
she can hear.
I see that we can be heard, which.
There we go.
Yeah, okay.
Well, she used a friendly finger, so.
And then cost, since you know the money, is this a big issue financially, 17,000?
No, so the capital improvement, I had sent a rundown to Sunny. No, I am not concerned. I had sent what the ending balance would be after this amendment.
Okay.
From the capital improvement fund, and it's not a significant difference. I mean, the difference is 16,000, but unfortunately, I don't have the number off the top of my head. But no, I was not concerned.
Any other questions?
All right, well, I move to approve, 26/8/21.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The resolution passes unanimously. Now, groundwater grant.
Yes, so I had previously prepared a grant closeout form for this project and celebrated a little bit. And then I got a call from Ecology saying that the EIM, so database that EW had submitted all of the data to, they were not done reviewing it, and they would not be done reviewing it until past the 30-day mark after the conclusion of the grant, which was June 30th of 2026. And from their standpoint, that means they are unable to conclude the grant. So the only possible solution from their perspective was to extend it. So they requested that we extend the grant to December with the hopes that it's much sooner that it's completed, but they didn't want to have to ask for yet another extension. So they were a little generous with that ask. So that's essentially what this is buying more time for EIM to conclude the database deliverable for this project.
Good. Any questions?
Move to approve resolution 26/830.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Thank you.
Passed
I think
unanimously.
I have to abstain.
Okay. There are no ordinances. There are no emergency ordinances. Any upcoming agenda items? Hearing none. Interested citizens in the audience or online wish to speak?
I don't want to extend it any farther, but I saw that Roxanne actually had like a little PowerPoint up there. So I talked about that no-name ditch, but can I have about 2 more minutes, like a minute? Is that okay?
Sure.
I'm sorry, I'm gonna throw something. You're like,
You're an
7-Eleven.
You're an interested citizen. Go right
Yes,
ahead.
sure. But if we could pull that PowerPoint, what I didn't bring up to you guys is the fact that the issue with this no-name ditch is also that they bring in water, to the bays, right? So for the most part, they were drinking clean water. I think that unfortunately may have changed slightly, but it's down from the Spokane River. And when you bring water in, you mound the groundwater up and pond it higher, so groundwater can go in all directions. So if we go to the next slide, we can actually see, do you mind if I stand up? When we plotted up a lot of our data, we did over 400 houses. This is no name ditch over here on the north end of that cross section. If you can, I can stand. North, you can see the 20,000, 1,800 right there. And then Four Lakes is over here, this cross section. So it's running from Four Lakes to the north in this area. So if we take the PFAS levels in Brady, we can actually see a gradient now going off to Craig Road well. And that's one of our wells for Medical Lake. And this is what kind of concerned me as well. Not only is that no name ditch right here one of the highest points, but it's actually starting to push water up gradient at the base because they import water and irrigate and have leaky pipes, and we all have leaky pipes somewhere. And so that's kind of pushing up towards Craig Road. So you might see this in the paper that, I'm talking about one of the wells, and Scott and I have been talking about that. And you can see a decrease down Craig Road going to the south. And then off of Four Lakes area, they may have had something up at the old Nike site, these missile silos. They had jet fuel, so they probably had some air, this firefighting foam, which worked really great. And you can see a little gradation like this coming out by Four Lakes. So Four Lakes has a small little bit. And what we'll find if we go to the next slide is that Craig Road does have like this slightly increasing for PFAS. It has to be less than 4. We can kind of see it in springtime, it kind of pumps up a little bit. So I'm just kind of concerned a little bit that eventually we'll make it up to that 4 using that trajectory. It'll probably take about 10 years. But groundwater again flows pretty slowly through rocks because it's a rock.
Latest test results last week was 2.55 parts.
Yeah, we do find it lower, in the water levels are lower, because the PFAS material tends to be, it's water repellent.
Over the Craig Road well.
Yeah.
Correct, well.
Yeah, so we can see that it goes down to like 2 something, between 3 and 2 here, but in the springtime, it's kind of increasing each year with my concern, but it's not the end of the world. And there's a little picture to show you that groundwater is mounded and going in all different directions. And then without that mounding, the groundwater generally would just flow to the Spokane River to the northeast.
So what's the estimated cost to fix this?
Oh, gosh, yeah, so. We're not gonna be on the radar for Fairchild just because the levels are so low. They're going 3 times the limit right now and they're still probably out to 2030. So the federal government probably will not take care of that anytime soon, because they have a lot on their plate. This would probably be, the fix might be a different well, just to supplement, it would be my suggestion, probably over towards the Glen Road well, which is clean. The SHS wells were all clean. And that water is actually older too. We did dating. I love my wife, but I dated some water with radiocarbon dating. And we found out that over here, like over by Espanola, it was about 13,000 years old. So it's like from the ice ages. Whereas if you go to Airway Heights, where we're recharging it from recharged water, it's like more like 100 years or 1,000 years old. So it goes into a long story, and I don't know to lecture to you guys about ground roots full of floods are coming through. Yeah, this is where the water would be. Yeah. That was it.
And your wife is understanding.
Yes. No, it was pretty fun. Actually, my kids did too.
The next motion is yours.
Yes. Oh, yeah. So with that, any questions? No, I would move to conclude. Unless there's a question.
I just wanted to remind everybody that the long-term recovery group is out there and the Red Cross is out there. So if anybody is trying to figure out a way that they can help any of the fire victims, I would steer people towards the Spokane County Long-Term Recovery Group.
Chad made a motion.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Oh, good.